Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name's Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. Wednesday, February 28th, NBA and college basketball slate. Kind of a reduced slate of NBA games tonight. There was a big slate yesterday, but we do have a lot of college games that we're in on as well, plus a lot of NBA bets for those games that are out there. So let's get started. We had a monster day yesterday. Hopefully you were along for the ride, 366 unit day. We had some big plays as well. SGA coming home with 3+3s. Was one of the biggest juice ones of the night at plus 600. So hopefully you were on with that one. Had a great day. And to be really honest, if it wasn't for a couple of scorekeepers in the San Antonio and Minnesota game, where Wemby had 5 blocks and 1 got scratched, and the same thing with Holmgren in that Thunder game where he had 4 blocks and 1 got scratched, we're going to have even a better day. We've been over 400 units. But neither here nor there. Fantastic day yesterday. Let's make today the same for you. So we're going to get started with college basketball on this one here. Pretty good slate of games here, so let's get rolling into it. Florida at home against Missouri. Florida has played extremely well over the last few weeks. Missouri, still one of the worst cover teams in the country, even though they covered a couple games against like Tennessee at home. They gave Arkansas a little bit of a run until Arkansas pulled away. But Florida definitely the better team here. Florida likes to get this up and down. They're currently favored 13.5, around 154 and a half total in this game. We do like Florida to get the job done here today, so we'll take Florida minus 7.5 first half, and we did take a minus 13 for the game. One more time, Florida minus 7.5 first half, minus 13 for the game. Next game up that we're looking at here is going to be Auburn at Tennessee. So Auburn is one of those teams I think can really make some noise in the tournament. I think Tennessee can too. Tennessee's got one flaw, and that's basically one main scorer. That can be somewhat, get the ball out of his hands, get the ball out of Connect's hands. Maybe you got a chance to get something done. I think Auburn's going to figure that out tonight. So we do like Auburn. On the road, we'll take the points. We're also going to play the money line as well. So on this Auburn-Tennessee game, it's currently 6.5, 151.5. We like Auburn plus 3.5 first half. We'll also take money line first half. It was plus 180 on DraftKings. We'll take Auburn plus 6.5. And then we'll also take Auburn money line, which was plus 235 on DraftKings. So one more time in this Auburn-Tennessee matchup, we like Auburn to get the upset here, but we're also going to take those valuable 6.5 points. Auburn plus 3.5 first half, Auburn money line first half, Auburn plus 6.5 for the game, and Auburn money line for the game. Next game up that we're going to be on here, and there's some interesting ones. That North Texas, we've been on North Texas quite a bit so far this year. We're not going to play that one. That Louisville Duke line's getting out of control as it's up over 20 now. It's always fun to bet against DePaul, but they, 19.5 points, and Xavier's not what I would call a killer. Next game we are on those Marquette at home against Providence. Marquette, one of the best teams out there in the country, should be looking at probably a 2-3 seed for them. They're laying 11.5, total around just under 150 in this game here. But we do like Marquette to handle business. This line has moved about a point, so if you're liking Marquette, I'd be getting on them sooner rather than later. Marquette minus 6.5 first half, minus 10.5 for the game. One more time, Marquette minus 6.5 first half, minus 10.5 for the game. Next game up that we're on here, as we get through the rest of the 5 o'clock Arizona games here, we'll get on to the 6 o'clock games. Drake going to UIC, Illinois, Chicago. Drake currently 8.5 point favorite. Drake laid an egg on the road the last game, kind of disappointing against Northern Iowa. Really was never in that game too much to make too much of a difference. But we do like going back to well with Drake. I still think they're the best team in the Missouri Valley, and I think they'll prove it once the tournaments start here. Drake minus 4.5 first half, minus 8.5 for the game. Drake minus 4.5 first half, minus 8.5 for the game. Then we get into UAB, Wichita State. UAB, this is not, first of all, we've mentioned this in multiple shows that we've faded Wichita State quite a bit, but this is not your last 10 years Wichita State. This team's under 500. This team's not making the tournament. UAB has been extremely tough at home, and we expect kind of the trend to continue here today and to fade Wichita State against a good home team in UAB. So we'll lay the 7.5 and won't question it here. So UAB minus 4.5 first half, minus 7.5 for the game. One more time, UAB minus 4.5 first half, minus 7.5 for the game. Then we've got UCF going to Oklahoma State. This line has moved a point here recently. So Oklahoma State now favored by 2.5, 137.5 total. They come off the game against Oklahoma, total disappointment in that one there. They had that game sewn up sideways. I don't think they're going to let another one dissipate from them. If this game was at UCF, we would definitely be playing that side, as they have been a tough out at home all season long, but so is Oklahoma State. So we'll take the home team here, laying a small number. We did get them at 1.5. Like I said, still like them at the 2.5 number. Just don't want that thing to get crazy and get up to 4.5 or something. So Oklahoma State minus 1.5 first half and minus 1.5 for the game. Oklahoma State minus 1.5 first half, minus 1.5 for the game. Next game up, Oklahoma at Iowa State. If you haven't seen Iowa State play this year at home, it's definitely something to watch. Hilton Coliseum in Ames going crazy there in Iowa. Iowa State's been undefeated at home, and Oklahoma just comes off a very hard-fought game against Oklahoma State, a game they shouldn't have won but somehow figured out to. They're not going to figure out how to beat Iowa State tonight. The question is the cover. Iowa State, like I said, undefeated at home, and they are a cover machine at home as well. So we will take the Cyclones tonight. Iowa State minus 5.5 first half, minus 9.5 for the game. Iowa State minus 5.5 first half, minus 9.5 for the game. Next game up that we're on here, let me get to it here. South Carolina, Texas A&M. South Carolina currently 4.5 point dog traveling to Texas A&M. A&M's been okay. I wouldn't call them a fantastic team. South Carolina is still ranked in the top 25 here. We're going against our trend of unranked teams favored at home. This actually got beat the other night with Mississippi State losing just a heartbreaking game to Kentucky. South Carolina is the better team here. I don't think there's much question about that. Total at 134.5. Low scoring game here on the total with getting points. We like South Carolina in this one here for sure. So we'll take, and we also like them on the money line. This line has been 4.5 to 5, so grab the 5s if you can. That 5 is a key number in basketball, so that one we do like. So South Carolina plus 2.5 first half. We'll also take money line first half. It was plus 150 on DraftKings. South Carolina plus 5 and money line for the game as well. Plus 185 was on DraftKings earlier as well. So one more time, South Carolina plus 2.5 first half, as well as money line first half. South Carolina plus 5 for the game, and also money line for the game. South Carolina there. Next game up, we looked at a couple of these games. Just FYI, St. John's Butler should be pretty interesting. St. John's, ever since getting chewed out about, but Pitino, they've played a little bit better, even though they shouldn't have covered against DePaul. They did get a big win on Sunday. Alabama, Ole Miss. I mean, it's tempting here to play this game here. That totals at 166 in that one. We'll stay away from that one. Another game that interests is Seton Hall, Creighton. Creighton comes off a real disappointing loss to St. John's on Sunday. Going back home, they are a tough home team. I would lean Creighton there if you're definitely wanting to play that game. Minnesota, Illinois, though, does have us very interested here. Minnesota finally, they have a huge cover streak going on. They get beat up by Nebraska at home. No question about that. They did not play well. They're not a good free throw shooting team, which definitely makes it even more unbelievable, their cover streak. But I will say this, it's when you're down 8 or 10, you're not fouling a lot due to the fact that the game's already over here, but you're still covering the game when it's 11.5. Minnesota has been really good against good teams, especially in the first half. I think that's a great area to attack them. Illinois has figured out a way to melt down multiple games here recently. So we're going to take the Golden Gophers, go with the best cover team in the country. They're the best cover team against the number, and it's not close. So we are going to take some money lines with them as well because the numbers are so large. But Minnesota plus 6.5 first half. We'll also take Minnesota money line in the first half as they're plus 300. Minnesota plus 11.5 for the game. We'll also sprinkle a little bit on money line for the game as they were plus 500. So one more time, Minnesota plus 6.5 first half, plus 11.5 for the game. Also, money line first half and money line for the game in that one. That wraps up college basketball for us. As the Arizona State and Oregon, the two games that are hugely rivalry time. Tough to call those games, especially with bigger numbers. And Boston College, if you're looking for a little nugget, that might be a game we go back to as well, as Boston College is brutal, hard to beat at home, and they are getting 1.5 against Virginia. So we'll get on to the NBA slate. A lot of games we like today. Only 6 games on the board, but most of these we definitely got some views on for sure, and a lot of good bets on. So we'll start off with the Mavericks at the Raptors. The Mavericks, of course, get beat by the half-court shot plus by Max Strus last night in Cleveland. Luka played awesome. He had 40-plus points, triple-double, obviously. Raptors have been playing all right. Emmanuel Quickley's kind of stepped up his game. He's been scoring somewhere 18 to 20 points a game. It's been good for Quickley. I think, Quickley can be a point guard in this league. And he can't, is he going to be, he needs people around him, though. He cannot be the star of the show, I don't think. But a good third piece, but a guy that can get the offense kind of going there. Mavericks, obviously, Luka, Kyrie, they have one of the best road cover records out there. They didn't win against the Cavs last night, but they did cover. And they did cover, first quarter, third quarter. They didn't cover the half, but, they were covering all kinds of stuff. So they're a betting favorite. We like the Mavs normally, except when they're like a huge favorite. And then the wheels tend to fall off for some reason. But Mavs, like I said, 3-point favorite here, 239 total. We're on the Mavs again tonight. We think Luka continues this hot streak he's on. So Mavs minus a half first quarter, minus a half third quarter, minus 1.5 first half, minus 3 for the game. Luka's point total did go up. It is 33.5, but it was plus money on DraftKings. I saw it minus money at 33.5 as well. So make sure you shop that around if you're looking to bet Luka over points. We're also going to take Luka over 9.5 points in the first quarter. He's been lighting it up in the first quarter, trying to get the team started off. If you watched yesterday's game, Luka comes out, has a monster first quarter. They end up winning the first quarter. He sits out the first 4 minutes, and they got buried. He almost gets them back. He gets them back with win 4 at half when they were down 15. So definitely making a huge difference there. It seems like he can keep shooting from 30 feet and keep knocking them in at a ridiculous rate. So Luka over 33 points, 9.5 points first quarter. We'll also sprinkle some on Luka 40+. Luka 4+ threes, 5+ threes, and 6+ threes. Quickly 3+ threes, as the 3 ball's definitely been better for Quickly over the last few weeks. Luka over 51.5 par. Luka to go back-to-back triple-double here. It was plus 430 on FanDuel. I shopped this one around as I saw 100, 150 points here, VIG, depending upon the book. So triple-double at FanDuel was plus 430. Emmanuel Quickley over 1.5 turnovers. Neither team is going to, I think, go crazy or whatever like that, but there is some length, I think, that causes some problems for the Mavs. A lot of deflected passes, things of that nature. So we'll go Mavs minus half first quarter, minus a half third quarter, minus 1.5 first half, minus 3 for the game. Luka over 33.5 points. Luka over 9.5 points first quarter, so you need 10 in the first to cash. Luka 40+ points for the game. Sprinkled a little bit on that. That was plus 290 at FanDuel, so some really good value there for a guy that has a lot of 40-point games. Luka 4+ threes, 5+ threes, 6+ threes. Quickly plus 3+ threes. Luka over 51.5 par. Seems to be a common number for him. Luka triple-double. And Emmanuel Quickley over 1.5 turnovers. Next game up on the NBA slate, Pelicans at the Raptors. CJ McCollum looks like he's going to be out again tonight. Pacers, they get a win even though Halliburton has a bad game. I thought he was going to be back ready to rock and fire, but he lays kind of an egg for himself. Doesn't even get to 12 assists, which have been pretty common for him all season long. Pelicans come off, they have a win against the Knicks last night and without Jalen Brunson, so I don't know how much of a win can you call that when Dante DiVincenzo is your main scoring option. I mean, the Knicks without Brunson are even, I hope Brunson's back soon for them in the next game because they look absolutely pitiful in that matchup there. But Pelicans do get a win, but they don't score, barely score. Now they're going against one of the best offenses in the league in the Pacers. Pacers are 6.5-point favorite, 238 total. I'll be really honest with you. I don't know where the Pelicans, they cause some problems for some teams. They do have length at a lot of positions. When Zion is the point forward, he definitely does make a difference for that team. But CJ McCollum, I think, is kind of a big wheel in that cog, and he's out. The question is can Trey Murphy and Herbert Jones, who are good 3 and D guys. I mean, a lot of teams would like to have those two pieces that the Pelicans have. They have a lot of 3 and D guys, though, and they have a lot of guys around that, like Brandon Ingram, maybe more gifted offensively, but maybe not as defensively as Herbert or Trey Murphy on that one. But a lot of good pieces on that team. I think it's one of those teams that get into the playoffs where the pace is not so ridiculous and you have to play more defense. I think that suits the Pelicans maybe a little bit better, makes them a tougher out. I think the Pacers, no matter what happens once they get into the playoffs, they're going to be a first-round exit. I really enjoy watching the Pacers. They're a lot of fun to watch. I think Halliburton's definitely one of my favorite players to watch. Before that hamstring injury, he definitely was. It's been a little bit of a struggle since then, and then, of course, with Halliburton back, you almost have to bet Miles Turner. He didn't get home in the last game, but, multiple games in a row he smacked. Halliburton is key to his success as he gets a lot of wide open shots when Halliburton's on the floor, as do a lot of the other guys on there. But we like the Pacers tonight, laying that 6.5 at home, and the Pelicans coming off that back-to-back. So, but we did grab it at 6, so this line does keep moving. So keep an eye on this one here. I don't think it's going back to 6. So if you like the Pacers tonight, grab it at that 6.5. -2 first quarter for the Pacers. -2 third quarter for the Pacers. -3 first half. Halliburton's point total has come down to 19.5. So we're going over there. Zion under 25.5 points. Miles Turner, who we mentioned, over 17.5 points, over 1.5 threes. It was plus money on FanDuel, so make sure you shop around the Turner to make 2 threes on that one. And Turner over 26.5 par. We also like Halliburton 3+ threes, 4+ threes, 5+ threes. We're not betting those as heavily tonight as he's been struggling a little bit from the 3-point line. But, this is a good opportunity to get back on the 3-point game for him. Halliburton over 34.5 par. And we do like the Pacers over 123.5 team total. I know you can get this at like 121.5, but it was -120. For 2 additional points, you can move that all the way to plus 108 on FanDuel with the alternate team line. So if they're gonna get to 122, they're gonna get to 124 more than likely. It's pretty rare when they wouldn't. So why pay the vig? We've went over this in a couple different episodes, like just adjusting that just a shade, and all of a sudden we're at home. More times than not, when you're questioning a number back and forth, like one book's got it at, let's say, 22.5 points, one's got it at 21.5 points, take the better option for you on the juice. So if it's a -104 versus a -130, they're either going to go below it or above it, more than likely. It rarely ends at the number in between. If you do get beat on it, you get beat on it, but you're going to end up overall long-term, you're going to end up in a much better situation by taking the lower vig. On that one there. So one more time in this Pacers and Pelicans matchup. Pacers -2 first quarter, -2 third quarter, -3 first half. Halliburton over 19.5 points, 3+ threes, 4+ threes, 5+ threes. Halliburton over 34.5 par. Miles Turner over 17.5 points, over 1.5 3-pointers made, over 26.5 par. Zion under 25.5 points. I saw some places with him at 24.5. I think he ends with 24-25. Or they get the doors blown off and maybe he scores 19 and he doesn't play really much in the fourth. Kind of what we're hoping for, a big Pacers victory and Zion sits. That should limit his point opportunities as well. And then the Pacers over 123.5 team total. Next game up on the board is going to be Cavs at the Bulls. Bulls coming off a back-to-back. Cavs also off a back-to-back. Cavs travel to Chicago. Donovan Mitchell's back, but he still has not seemed – he missed the 2 games right after the All-Star break. He's had two he's played in since then, so this is their 5th game back since the All-Star break. Jarrett Allen's been on fire, and the Bulls, once again, they're a 10-point favorite last night, figured out how to lose the game straight up. Realistically, I don't know. The Bulls probably never be favored by 10 points probably against anybody, right? But they are the model of inconsistency, and they are the show kryptonite. So we're not betting the side or the total on this one. The total at 216. So they're not expecting a lot of scoring anyway. But we do expect Jarrett Allen to continue his hot streak, especially in his point total. So Jarrett Allen over 16.5 points, over 10.5 rebounds. I will say this, ever since Evan Mobley's come back, he's consistently been right around this number. There hasn't been a ton of value there at 10.5. So shop that number around. I saw books at 130, 135. We did grab it minus 111 at FanDuel. And we also like Jarrett Allen over 1.5 blocks. They're going to stretch him out a little bit with Vucevic a little bit, but the Bulls do like to drive the ball to the hole. I think there's some opportunities there for block shots for Jarrett Allen. So at +1, let's see, Jarrett Allen was plus 145 at DraftKings over 1.5 blocks. So some pretty good value there. Basically giving you out of 3 games, he'll hit it 2 out of 3 on that one there kind of value. So we do like that one there tonight as well. So all Jarrett Allen in this game for us, just 3 player props, over 16.5 points, over 10.5 rebounds, over 1.5 blocks. Next game up, Grizzlies at the T-Wolves. T-Wolves 12.5 point favorite, depending on where you're shopping, 209 total. The Grizzlies don't even have a team total of 100, folks. This is how bad the Grizzlies have gotten here as of late. It's been ugly. It's been pitiful. Even Jaren Jackson seems like he's done. They're like, how quickly can next season come and we can get, hopefully all of our guys back. Minnesota, they've played 3 times so far. Minnesota's won all 3, and they've won by more than 12 in all 3. Another game at home. I understand Minnesota's off of, back-to-back. The Spurs weren't much of a challenge yesterday. Let's put it to you that way. So having back-to-back games at home against the Spurs and the Grizzlies should equal to 2 wins and 2 covers. It's kind of what we're thinking here. So we do like the T-Wolves in this matchup. Minus 4.5 first quarter, minus 7.5 first half, minus 12 for the game. Karl-Anthony Towns could be back. I'm not quite sure on that one. Anthony Edwards, we love AE, but when his point totals at 27.5 against these bad teams, you don't know if he's going to be playing in the fourth quarter, so it makes it a little bit more difficult, especially how slow he starts in games scoring points as he tries to get everybody else involved. So instead of going the AE route, we'll stick with Rudy Gobert. Monster rebounding game last night. Missed a free throw late that cost us over points, but Gobert over 13.5 points, over 27.5 points plus rebounds. Gobert over 13.5 rebounds. Gobert over 2.5 blocks. Jaren Jackson under 23.5 points. He's been under this mark quite a bit as of late. Had 15 in the last game. And we think the T-Wolves are scoring more than 113 tonight, so we'll take them over 112.5 team total. That's one of those ones, again, you can find a little bit cheaper. You maybe get them at 111.5 or 110.5, but you're paying VIG to get there. You're paying juice. This was plus 112 on FanDuel on the alternate team line. So do make sure you take a look at those. I'd much rather have a plus bet than I would. I'm paying a lot of juice to get home. And the juice adds up over a season, especially. So especially when you're a volume better like us, that you need to look for some value options sometimes around. Now, we will lay some big juice plays, right? No question about that. But opportunity on team total like that, we're going to take our chance. Like I said, more than likely, they're either going to score less than 110 or more than 115 anyway, so it's not going to matter probably either side of it. So one more time, T-Wolves, Grizzlies. T-Wolves minus 4.5 first quarter, minus 7.5 first half, minus 12 for the game. Gobert over 13.5 points, over 27.5 points plus rebounds, over 13.5 rebounds, over 2.5 blocks. Jaren Jackson for the Grizzlies under 23.5 points, and T-Wolves over the 112.5 team total. Next game up, Sacramento Kings at the Denver Nuggets. Kings currently getting 7.5 to 8, depending on what book you're at. Total around 231. So the Nuggets have been one of the best. They are probably one of the best teams at home in the NBA. No question about it. The Kings have won all 3 games so far this season. This is game 4. last game they're playing against each other until possibly a playoff matchup. We're going to go with the Kings here to sweep this, or at least cover this number. We are going to sprinkle a little bit on the Kings money line as well, but the Kings, they have not played inspiring basketball for some time. No question about that. How do you bet the Kings, right? They're inconsistent, like a lot of teams are in the NBA. There's very few consistent teams, and those teams normally have they get, these monster point spreads against them, unless you're like the Thunder and can cover those on a consistent basis. But we do like the Kings here. They just seem to have the Nuggets number in the regular season here. So Kings plus 2.5 first quarter, plus 2.5 third quarter, plus 4.5 for the first half, plus 8 for the game. We're also going to sprinkle a little bit on the Kings money line, which was plus 245 on DraftKings as well. De'Aaron Fox, we think, has a game tonight, over 25.5 points, over 2.5 threes, over 35.5 par. He's had a couple big games, a couple not so big, but, at 33 in a game against Phoenix, game or two ago. He's been playing better. Sabonis has been the guy that's been the standard all season long, but we do like Sabonis here too. Over 19.5 points. We're also going to play him for 1+ 3-pointer made. It was plus 185 on DraftKings. Hopefully he attempts one. Normally if he attempts one, we got to, he seems to knock him down at a decent rate. Jokic is probably going to play a lot of sagging D off of him, so he should have some opportunities to throw it up. Sabonis over, we got that over the 1+ 3 and over 41.5 par as well, as he's been one of the best par bets all season long. We like, De'Aaron Fox, which we went over his points and threes, over 35.5 par as well. And Jokic over 2.5 turnovers. If they can get this pace moving, the Kings on that side of the ball, they can definitely make Jokic turn that ball over a few times. So Kings plus 2.5 first quarter, plus 2.5 third quarter, plus 4.5 first half, plus 8 for the game. We're also going to sprinkle a little bit on Kings money line for the game. De'Aaron Fox over 25.5 points, over 2.5 threes, over 35.5 par. Sabonis for 1+ 3. Sabonis over 19.5 points, and Sabonis over 41.5 par. And then Jokic for the Nuggets over 2.5 turnovers. Last game of the day and on the board, and for us, Lakers staying at home, but they are the road team facing the Clippers. This is the last game of the split, the two home tenants here, as the new Clippers stadium should be ready to go next year. So last regular season matchup here. Clippers favored by 3.5, 234.5 total. Not quite sure why the Clippers are favored by this much here, especially when it's basically a home team for both teams. Paul George looks like he's going to be out again. The Clippers have struggled a little bit here as of late. They haven't looked as crisp as they were there for that 2-month stretch where they looked like they couldn't get beat. Lakers necessarily didn't play that great in Phoenix. Game was tight though. On that one there. So, but the Lakers, I think, have enough firepower to get it done with the Clippers here, especially if they can make this more of a half-court game. I think that's where they're going to, Anthony Davis is definitely the difference in these two teams. Kawhi Leonard's fantastic. He had an off night the last night the Clippers played. We just like the Lakers here, and only 3.5. We'll take the points. But we do like Lakers plus 0.5 first quarter, plus 1.5 first half, plus 3.5 for the game. And we're all over AD tonight. Anthony Davis over 23.5 points. We'll also sprinkle some money on 25+ points and 30+ points for AD. Over 13.5 rebounds. That was plus money. I know like 12.5 is kind of the number we like to see, but getting 14 rebounds, I don't think it's that big of a difference. Without Paul George, they'll probably take a few less threes. So should be some good rebound opportunities there for him. AD over 2.5 blocks, plus money again on that one. LeBron over 2.5 turnovers, and probably our favorite bet all season, James Harden over 2.5 turnovers. He did hit it in the last game. He's only like 5 out of his last 8, but normally he goes 6 for 8. He'll go over this mark on there, but we consistently played it all season. It's made us a ton of money all season long. We expect the same to happen here. He had 5 in the last game. So Harden turnovers has been bankable, and we going back to it tonight. So Lakers plus 0.5 first quarter, plus 1.5 first half, plus 3.5 for the game. Anthony Davis over 23.5 points, also 25 plus points, 30 plus points. Anthony Davis over 13.5 rebounds, over 40.5 par, points, assists, rebounds combined, over 2.5 blocks. LeBron over 2.5 turnovers, and Harden over 2.5 turnovers. In the 2 games against the Lakers, Harden's had a 5 turnover game and a 1 turnover game. So that 3 number is kind of the average. If the Lakers play well and they play well defensively, he'll definitely go over that 2.5 mark. If they don't, if he's just sitting there stroking threes for the whole game, if they just let him have the 3-point line, he's probably not going to make a ton of throws that could get him into trouble, as most of them are bad passes when he turns the ball over. Not a lot of steals coming out of Harden, just normally a lot of bad passes on that stretch. So we might have mentioned this earlier. We'll go to it again. The Google Sheets is our ledger of all of our bets. You can see there's a link to the Google Sheet in our comments section at the end of every show that we do. It'll be docs.google.spreadsheet, bunch of other stuff behind it. Click into that link. It'll get you into our spreadsheets. It'll have it down to the sport. So you'll see football like for 22-23, football 23-24, baseball for 23, basketball for 23-24, baseball for 24s. We have a lot of futures. And then we also have like a miscellaneous tab. We do a lot of Formula One betting, golf, UFC, stuff like that. So you can check that out as well. So if you're into UFC at all, if you're into Formula One at all, there's Formula One racing that's starting here soon as well. So you can check those out. Also, we have golf for the Cognizant Classic. We've got some golf bets as well, so you can feel free to check those out. But scroll around. Not everybody bets every sport. We're just a sports junkie and a betting junkie, so to speak. So we bet damn near everything. We don't bet a lot of horse racing. I'm not a hockey guy, unfortunately. I like to watch it, but betting analyst-wise, a lot of people like it. Tennis, we're not necessarily on very much. But we do put those oddball ones for the stuff that we do make bets on here occasionally. So you can check those out as well. But basketball, we've had a monster run all season long on there, like 6,300 units up or 6,200 units up in basketball. So we've had a fantastic season. We're winding down here to the last couple months, besides for the playoffs for the NBA. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up. So make sure you check that out. If you don't have a chance to watch the show for the day, you can always link back to the Google Sheets and look at all the bets if you don't have time to sit there and watch the episode. As always, subscribe. If you could subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel, makes life really simple to find us. Once you hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on for YouTube. Basically, you get a notification to your phone or device to let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped some new bets. Match them up with your bets and give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window. I do appreciate everybody's support as always and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.